All right, over on Capitol Hill today, a major step forward for a proposal that supporters say could prevent the next insurrection. The D.C. National Guard Home Rule Act would hand over control of troops from the Department of Defense to the D.C. mayor. Today, the measure made it into the National Defense Authorization Act, a massive bill that appropriates annual defense funding. Now, this latest push comes after it took 3 excruciating hours for the D.C. National Guard to be deployed on January 6th. Let's dig a little deeper on this topic tonight. D.C. Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes-Norton is with us. Thanks so much for being here, Congresswoman. First, I want to talk about, not much has changed, really, if you think about it, since 1773. Only we're not talking about Boston as a colony in Massachusetts. We're talking about D.C. We've been treated like a colony since 1801 in the Organic Act. So this measure that we're talking about now would hand over control of the D.C. National Guard from the Department of Defense to the D.C. mayor. I can only imagine why that is so important, but I want your take on this.
Well, I think one of the reasons it's so important you saw on January 6th, when D.C. did not have control over its National Guard, and Trump delayed and major damage was done, loss of. If it were not for the D.C. Police Department, who are in the control of the D.C. mayor, there would not have been anybody from D.C. there. This is really a no-brainer.
So often, Congress members, representatives, and the senators go back to their home districts and they say, look, I'm in D.C. to keep Washington out of your business. So I wonder, you were in the markup at the committee hearing here. What are your Republican colleagues saying about this act? Because if they don't want Washington interfering in their affairs, are they actively interfering in D.C.'s affairs by blocking or trying to oppose this measure?
Not only do they have no compunctions about interfering in D.C. affairs, I spent a great deal of my time trying to nullify their attempts to overcome D.C. home rule. So they are at odds with themselves when they try to keep us from protecting the Congress, not just the city. The National Guard, the D.C. National Guard protects the Congress as well. When the D.C. police, in the absence of the D.C. National Guard, because Trump wouldn't call them out, when the D.C. police on January 6th were called out, we saw the difference that made. Now, suppose the D.C. police and the D.C. National Guard had been there, then you would have seen, to be sure, the same kind of rioting, but I certainly think with much less damage and loss of life.
Yeah, the whole thing would have been over sooner. I mean, we know it's been well documented that it was the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department that saved the day. I want to come in and talk about the big news today, the fact that the act that you've proposed is now included in the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act for 2022. So congratulations on getting to that point. Can you just talk us through what happens from here?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure now that it's been included in the actual act, with a markup coming on Wednesday, that we will get that bill through the House. Democrats do control the House. At the same time, I do recognize the uplift it will take in the Senate, and I'm so grateful to senators who are going to hop in there and try to get this through the Senate.